Hi friends, in this tutorial we'll be implementing CRUD operations using Spring Boot 3 and MySQL database. For this I'll be taking reference of my website javanews.com. So go to Spring Boot 3. In Spring Boot 3, go to Spring Boot 3 database examples. The tutorial that we'll be implementing today is Spring Boot 3 MySQL CRUD example. In this tutorial we'll be creating a Spring Boot application to perform CRUD operations using the MySQL database. The Spring Boot project that we'll be developing is as follows. So in the Spring Boot application, using the REST controller, we'll be exposing some REST APIs. Whenever the user he wants to perform the CRUD operations, we'll make a call to these REST APIs. The REST API will then call the service layer. The service is where we write our business logic. The service then makes of the DAO layer to interact with the MySQL database and perform the CRUD operations. So let us begin with the implementation part. We'll be making use of the Spring Initializer website to create a Spring project for us. So go to this website. We'll be creating a Maven project. The version keep it as same 3.2.2. Group ID give it as com.javanews. Demo give it as boot-mysql-crud. Next we'll be adding the dependencies. So as we are going to expose REST endpoints, we will be needing the Spring Web dependency. Similarly, as we are going to perform the database operations, we need the JPA dependency. And finally, as we are going to make use of the MySQL database, so we'll need the MySQL driver dependency. Click on generate. So this has downloaded the Spring Boot Maven project for us. So as this is a Maven project, go to Eclipse and import it as a Maven project. So this is the project that we created using the Spring Initializer website. Go to the pom.xml. So here in the pom.xml we have the Spring Boot Starter Data JPA dependency, Spring Boot Starter Web dependency, and also here we have the MySQL Connector Java dependency. So now that we have created the Spring Boot project, using the mysql.properties file, we'll be adding the MySQL configuration. The first MySQL configuration that we'll be specifying is Spring Data Source URL. So here JDBC MySQL localhost javanews DB. This is the JDBC URL of the MySQL database connection. In our case, we are trying to connect to the MySQL database named javanews DB. The next parameter is create database if not exist is equal to true. So what this parameter does is that it ensures that if this database named javanews DB it does not exist, then it will create it for us. The final parameter that we use for this MySQL configuration is use SSL is equal to false. So here we are making use of it. So what this does is that it disables SSL encryption for this connection. The next MySQL configuration is Spring Data Source username. So this specifies the username to use for authentication when connecting to the MySQL database. When installing MySQL database, I set this username to root. And finally, we have here Spring Data Source password, which is also root. So when installing MySQL, I set the password to root. So this is the MySQL configuration that we'll need to add to the application.properties. We'll be having a look at the Spring JPA configuration a bit later when we'll be creating the entity class. For now, just copy these configurations. Go to the Eclipse project that we had created, source main resources, application.properties, and paste it here. Next, we'll start the MySQL command line client that we have here. So for this, the password is root. Now for this MySQL, we'll check if a database named javanews.db it exists or not. So for this, make use of the command use javanews.db. So here it is showing unknown database javanews.db. So a database named javanews.db it does not exist. Next, let us start the Spring Boot project. So go to source main java. Here we'll be making use of the boot MySQL CRUD application file to start the Spring Boot project. Run as Java application. So here Spring Boot project it has started successfully. If you now go to the MySQL database and again check use javanews.db. Here we can see that a database named javanews.db it exists. So when we started the Spring Boot project, here in the MySQL configuration Spring Data Source URL we have specified that create database if not exist is equal to true. So Spring Data JPA checks that this javanews.db does not exist, so it created it for us. So here we have a class named employee. It has three fields: ID, name, and department. Along with the getters and setters, we have created two constructors. The first is an overloaded constructor, which is having all the fields ID, name, and department, and the other is the default constructor without any fields. Next, let us have a look at the annotations used in this class. So the first annotation we'll look into is the entity annotation. So the entity annotation it is used to mark the class as a persistent entity. So any class which needs to be stored or retrieved from a database, it has to make use of this entity annotation. The next annotation that we'll be looking at is the table annotation. So here we have table name is equal to employees. So the table annotation, it specifies the table name in the database that corresponds to this entity. So in our case, the class employee, it will map to the table named employees in the MySQL database. The entity and the table annotations are used at the class level, whereas the other annotations that we'll be having a look at, they are used at the class field levels. For the class field ID, we have made use of two annotations, ID and generated value, and also for generated value we have specified the strategy as generation type dot identity. So let us have a look at these annotations. ID annotation is used to mark the primary key field of the entity. So when the table employees is created, the ID field, it will be the primary key of this employees table. The next annotation that we'll have a look at is the generated value annotation. So the generated value annotation, it specifies the generation strategy for the primary key value. So in our case, the primary key, it is the ID field of the employee class. So how do we generate the value for this primary key or the ID field? Since we make use of the strategy generation type dot identity, the primary key value or the ID field value is generated by the underlying database itself. Also, it typically uses an auto increment column. So suppose if an employee record is inserted in the table, then its ID value is 1. Now suppose if another employee record is inserted in the table, as we are making use of this auto increment column, so its value will be 2. Then for the another employee record, it will become 3. So we are making use of this auto increment column to populate the ID value. Finally, we have the column annotation. So this annotation, it specifies that when the table is created, so in our case, a table named employees will be created. It should have a column, and its column name will be department, and this department column, it will be mapped to the department field value. Let us create this employee entity class. Go to Eclipse and here create a new class. The package will be com.javanews.bootmysql.crud.entity. Copy the contents of this class. So if we now go to the MySQL database, so here we had created a database named JavaNewsDB. If we do select star from employees, we can see that a table named employees does not exist in this JavaNewsDB. Let us now start the Spring Boot application. So here the application, it has started. If we now go to the MySQL database and again do select star from employees, here we can see that an empty employees table, it exists in the JavaNewsDB. Next, we'll be creating a repository named employee repository. So this employee repository, it is an interface which will extend another interface named JPA repository, which is provided to us by the Spring framework. The JPA repository, it in turn extends the CRUD repository interface, which is again provided to us by the Spring framework. The employee repository interface, it is specifically designed to interact with the database and perform CRUD operations, that is create, read, update and delete on the employee entity. So for this employee repository, we pass the generic parameters employee and long, and they indicate that the repository, it will be dealing with the objects of type employee and the unique identifier will be of type long. So for the employee entity that we created before, here we have specified that the primary key or the ID, it will be of type long. So here we have specified again that the unique identifier, it will be of type long. So let us create this employee repository interface. Here I'll create a new interface, employee repository, and its package will be, instead of entity, we'll have repository here. So copy this content. Here we have the employee repository and it extends the JPA repository. So this JPA repository, it in turn extends the list CRUD repository, which in turn extends the CRUD repository. So this is an interface for generic CRUD operations on a repository of the specific type. In our case, the specific type will be employee. The employee repository interface, when we extend the JPA repository, then Spring Data JPA, it will automatically create an instance of simple JPA repository and it assigns it to the employee repository bean at runtime. This means that when we use the employee repository interface in a code, the methods defined in the JPA repository interface, they will be implemented by the simple JPA repository. So let us look at the simple JPA repository. So the employee repository, it extends the JPA repository, and one of the implementations of the JPA repository is the simple JPA repository. The simple JPA repository, it has the default implementation of the CRUD repository interface. So it has all the implementations that are needed for performing the CRUD operations. So at runtime, the Spring Data JPA, it assigns the simple JPA repository to the employee repository bean. So now that we are done with creating the employee entity and the employee repository classes, let us now perform the CRUD operations. The first CRUD operation that we will be performing is to create and persist the employee information in the MySQL database. For this, we will be implementing a create employee API. The steps involved for creating employee are as follows. So the user, he will be making a post request to the URL localhost 8080/employee. In this post request, in the body, the user will be sending the employee information in JSON format. In the REST controller, using the employee JSON object that has been sent, an object of type employee DTO will be created. So the REST controller, it will call a method named create employee of the service layer, and to this service layer it will pass the employee DTO object which has the employee details. DTO stands for data transfer object. So these DTO classes, they allow for a clear separation between the presentation layer and the domain layer. DTOs provide a way to transfer data between different layers such as the controller and the service layers. So to this service layer, we pass the employee DTO object. The service layer then converts the employee DTO object to an instance of the employee entity object, and then using this employee entity object, we call the save method of the employee repository, which saves the employee details in the MySQL database. Once the employee object has been saved in the MySQL database, the employee repository, it returns the created employee instance. So this created employee instance is then converted back to employee DTO instance by the service layer, and this employee DTO instance is then returned back to the user. So let us implement the create employee API. So let us first create the employee DTO class. Go to Eclipse, and here we'll be creating a class named employee DTO. Package will be a DTO package. Copy the contents of this class. So for us, this employee DTO, it will be having fields similar to the employee entity class, that is ID, name and department. Once the employee object has been saved in the MySQL database, the employee repository, it returns the created employee instance. So this created employee instance is then converted back to employee DTO instance by the service layer, and this employee DTO instance is then returned back to the user. Next, in the service layer, we need to convert the employee DTO instance to an employee instance and vice versa. So we have already seen this. So we perform this conversion using the employee mapper. In the employee mapper class, we have two methods. The first is map to employee DTO method, which takes the employee instance and returns back the employee DTO instance. And the second is map to employee method, which takes the employee DTO instance and returns back the employee instance. So let us create this mapper class. In Eclipse, create a new class named employee mapper. Package will be mapper here. Copy the contents of this class. Next, we'll be creating the service layer. So for this, we first create an interface named employee service, which will be having a single method named create employee. And this create employee, it will create a new employee record in the MySQL database. For the service layer, we are creating the service interface first, as we want to follow the programming to an interface design principle. So let us create this employee interface. Go to Eclipse and create a new interface. This package will be service here. Copy this content. Next, we'll be creating the employee service implementation class named employee service IMPL. For this class, we'll be making use of the service annotation. Also, this class, it will implement the employee service interface that we just created. The employee service interface, it had a single method named create employee, which has been implemented here. Also, in this employee service implementation, we are auto-wiring the employee repository that we had previously created. So let us have a look at the create employee method. So this create employee method, it takes the employee DTO object as a parameter. It then converts this employee DTO instance to an employee instance using the employee mapper. Then using this employee instance, it calls the save method of the employee repository. So this will save the employee information in the MySQL database. If this is successful, then the created employee instance is returned back by the employee repository. This create employee instance is converted to employee DTO instance and returned back by this create employee method. Let us create this employee service IMPL class. Create a new class. Employee service IMPL. Copy the contents of this class. Next, we'll be creating the controller class named employee controller. For this class, we make use of the REST controller annotation. Also, in this controller class, we auto-wire the employee service. To this employee service, we'll be passing the employee details, which will be later persisted in the MySQL database. Also, in this employee controller class, we have a method named create employee, which we have exposed as a REST endpoint. using the post mapping annotation and the URL as /employee. In the body for this post request, we pass the employee details using which the employee DTO object gets created. Once this object is created, we call the employee service.createEmployee method, to which we pass the employee DTO object. The employee service then, making use of the employee repository, passes the employee details in the MySQL database, and once this is done, it returns back the employee DTO object. So this employee DTO object is returned back to the user along with the HTTP status code .created, which is 201. So let us create this employee controller class. Go to Eclipse and create a new class here. Package will be .controller here. Copy the contents of this class. So we are done with the code changes. So let us now test the create employee API. For this, I will be starting the Spring Boot application in debug mode. So debug as Java application. This will start the application in debug mode. So here I have added a debug point in the controller. Next, in the service, I will be adding the debug point. Next, for testing the create employee API, which is a post request, we will be making use of Postman. So here we are going to make a post request. The URL is localhost:8080/employee. Also, for this post request, in the body, we will be sending the employee information in JSON format. So this is the employee information that we will be passing. Name will be user1 and department is IT. So click on the send button. If you now go to Eclipse. So here in the controller class, we have received the request. Also in the body, we had sent some employee information. Using the request body, this information is converted to employee DTO object. So here the employee DTO, the department is IT and the name is user1. The ID, it will be generated when this employee information it is persisted in the MySQL database. Next, we pass this employee DTO to the create employee method of the employee service. So here now we are in the employee service, and here we have passed the employee DTO object. Using the employee mapper, this employee DTO object it is converted to an employee instance. Next, using the same method of the employee repository, to which we pass the employee object, this employee information it will be persisted in the MySQL database. So if you go to the MySQL database, for this example, the database that we are using is Java in-use DB. Do select staff from employees. Here we can see that currently there are no records in the employees table. So now let us run this example. If you now do select star from employee, here we can see that the record it has been inserted in the MySQL table and the ID 1 has been created for this record. So the employee repository, it passes the employee information in the MySQL database and returns us back an employee instance with the details of the employee which has been persisted in the MySQL database. If you look at here, the ID it is 1. Using the employee mapper, the created employee instance is converted to employee DTO instance and returned back to the controller. So in the controller, I'll add one more debug point here. So here we get the created employee instance, which is employee DTO object, and this is returned back to the user. So if we go back to Postman, the information about the employee object persisted in the MySQL database is returned back to the user. So now that we have successfully implemented and tested the create employee API, next we will be implementing the get employee by ID API. For this, the flow will be as follows. The user, he will be making a get call to the URL localhost:8080/employee and the ID of the employee which is to be retrieved. This call will then be intercepted by the REST controller. The REST controller will get the ID from the URL and pass it to the service using the get employee by ID method. The service will then be making use of the find by ID method of the employee repository, to which it will be passing the ID and retrieving the employee from the MySQL database. Once the employee has been retrieved, this employee instance, it will be converted to employee DTO instance by the service layer, and this employee DTO instance will be returned back to the controller and then back to the user. We may have a scenario where there is no employee corresponding to the ID sent by the user. In such a scenario, we will be throwing employee not found exception. Let us begin with the implementation part. Go to Eclipse and create a new class. Package will be exception here. So this employee not found exception, it extends the Java exception class. Also, this employee not found exception class, it will be having two constructors. The first will be the default employee not found exception without any parameters. The second will be the employee not found exception with a string message. So whenever we want to throw an exception with a particular message, then this employee not found exception with the parameter message will be used. So copy this. Next, in the employee service interface, we define a method named getEmployeeById, which takes the employee ID as a parameter and returns an object of type employee DTO. Also, this method, it throws an exception of type employee not found exception. So copy this and go to the employee service interface. And here import this employee not found exception. Next, in the employee service IMPL class, which implements the employee service interface, we'll be implementing the getEmployeeById method we just defined in the employee service interface. To the getEmployeeById method, we pass the employee ID as a parameter. Next, using the employee repository.findById method, to which we pass the employee ID, we try to retrieve the employee corresponding to this particular employee ID. The employee repository.findById method, it returns us optional employee instance. So here we check if this optional is empty, then it means that the employee corresponding to this employee ID does not exist in the MySQL database. So we throw the employee not found exception. Else we convert the employee instance that is returned back to employee DTO and return it back to the controller. Let us modify the employee service IMPL class to add this getEmployeeById method. Copy this, go to Eclipse, and here we'll be adding the method. Import the required classes. Finally, in the employee controller class, we'll be creating a method named getEmployeeById, which will be exposing as a REST endpoint using the get mapping annotation. And the URL for this get request will be /employee/employee-id. So here the user, he will be passing the employee ID. So once the user, he calls this method using this URL /employee/employee-id, he'll be taking the employee ID. This employee ID will be passing it to the employee service using the getEmployeeById method of the employee service. The employee service will then make use of the employee repository and retrieve the employee corresponding to this particular employee ID. If there exists no employee corresponding to this employee ID, then the service, it will throw the employee not found exception. So we'll just catch this employee not found exception in the controller class and again be throwing the same exception. If everything works fine and we get the employee corresponding to the employee ID, then we'll be returning the employee details along with the HTTP status code as OK. So let us modify the employee controller class to add this getEmployeeById method. We are done with the changes, so let us just add some debug points here and also in the service implementation. Let us now start this in debug mode. Go to Postman, and here we'll be creating a new GET request to localhost 8080/employee/employee ID. So here we'll be retrieving the employee ID with ID 1. Click on send. So here we have received the request in the employee controller. The employee ID is 1. Just add it here also. Now suppose if we go to the service implementation, here again the employee ID is 1. And here using the employee repository, we are trying to find the employee corresponding to this employee ID 1. So here we get employee and this optional, it is not empty, so we get an employee with employee ID 1. Now this is returned back to the controller, and here we are returning this employee detail back to the user. So run this. So if we go back to Postman, here we are retrieving the employee corresponding to the employee ID 1. Now suppose if we passed employee ID as 2, so no employee so currently there is no employee corresponding to this employee ID 2 in the MySQL database. So if you go back to the controller, here we have got employee ID as 2 now. We just add a catch here also. So now here again we get employee ID 2. So now this will be empty. So employee not found exception will be thrown. Will come in the catch block, and here again this exception will be thrown. Next we'll be implementing getAllEmployees API. So for this the user, he will be making a get call to the URL localhost 8080/employee. The REST controller will then call the getAllEmployees method of the service layer. The service layer will in turn call the findAll method of the employee repository, which will return us the employee list. The service layer will then convert this employee list to employee DTO list, and this employee DTO list will then be returned back to the user. So let us begin with the implementation part. Before we make any code changes, using the post request that we had created earlier, we'll be creating some more employee records in the MySQL database. So user2 HR. Okay, the debug point is started, so I'll just stop this debug point. Then user 3 marketing. Okay, so now if we'll go to the MySQL database, so we have 3 records here. Next, using the getEmployees API, we'll try to retrieve all these records and return it back to the user. Next, let us begin with the code changes. So in the employee service, we'll be adding a method named getEmployees, which will return us a list of employee DTO. Copy this, go to Eclipse, go to the employee service and add this method here. Next, in the employee service IMPL class, which implements the employee service, we will be adding the implementation of the getEmployees method that we just added to the employee service interface. So here we have the getEmployees method. Inside this method, we make a call to the findAll method of the employee repository. This returns us the list of employees from the MySQL database. Next, using the Java 8 Stream API and employee mapper, we convert this employee list to employee DTO list and return it back. So let us make this change to the employee service IMPL class. So go to the service implementation and you add this. Finally, in the employee controller class, we'll be creating a method named getEmployees, which will be exposing as a REST endpoint using the get mapping and the URL /employees. So whenever the user he calls the getEmployees method using the URL /employees, then inside this method we'll call the getEmployees method of the employee service, which will return a list of employee DTO. This list will then be returned back to the user along with HTTP status code OK. So let us make these code changes. Copy this, go to the controller class and here add this method. So we are done with all the code changes. Let us now test the getAllEmployees API. I'll be adding some debug points here and also here in the service layer. Let us start it in the debug mode. So here the application it will start. Go to Postman. Here I'll be adding a get request. It will be localhost 8080/employees. So click on send. So here in the controller we have received the request. So now we are in the service IMPL layer. So here we call the findAll method of the employee repository. We get a list of employees. The size is 3. So this employee list is converted to employee DTO and it is returned back by the controller. So here we are getting the employee information for all the 3 employees. Next we'll be implementing the delete employee by ID API. For this the user will make a delete API call to localhost 8080/employee/ID. So here we are passing the ID of the employee which is to be deleted. In the REST controller we'll be making a call to the delete employee by ID method of the service, to which again we pass the ID. In this service finally we'll be deleting the employee record from the MySQL database by calling the delete by ID method of the employee repository, to which we pass the ID of the employee to be deleted. So let us begin with the implementation part. So in the employee service we'll be adding a method delete employee, to which we pass the employee ID which is to be deleted. So copy this. So go to employee service interface. Add this method here. Next, in the employee service implementation class which implements the employee service interface, we have added the implementation for delete employee method, which we have just declared in the employee service interface. So in the delete employee method we have the employee ID. So this is the employee ID of the employee which is to be deleted from the MySQL database. So here, before deleting it from the MySQL database, using employee repository.findById, we first check if this particular employee it exists or not. So if this particular employee with this employee ID it exists, then that particular employee is returned back by the employee repository. So if it does not exist, then this employee.isEmpty will be true. It means that for this particular ID, no employee exists in the employee table. So in such a scenario, we'll be throwing the employee not found exception. If the employee it does exist, then we'll be deleting it by calling the employee repository.deleteById method, to which we pass the employee ID. So let us modify the employee service implementation class. We will be adding the method delete employee. Next, we'll be modifying the employee controller class. We'll be adding a new method named delete employee, which will be exposing as a REST endpoint using the delete mapping annotation and the URL /employee/employee ID. So here we are passing the employee ID of the employee to be deleted from the MySQL database. So when the controller receives this request, it calls the delete employee method of the employee service, and to this we pass the employee ID of the employee to be deleted, and then to the user we return back http status.noContent. This indicates that the request it has been successfully processed and there is no content to be sent back as a response. So let us modify the employee controller to add this method. Go to Eclipse, go to the controller class, and here we have added this method. So we are done with the coding changes. Let us now start this application in the debug mode and test it. I'll be adding debug points here. So the application it has successfully started. If we go to MySQL database, so we have 3 records here. Let us delete the first record, that is with the ID 1. Go to Postman, and here we had get employee by ID. Let's just copy this, paste it here. So we'll be deleting the employee record with the employee ID 1. This should be a delete call. Click on delete. If you now go to Eclipse, so here in the controller we have received the request. The employee ID it is 1. So now we are in the service layer. Here it checks if for this particular employee ID if this employee exists or not. So the employee exists. It will then delete it. Let us run this. If you now go to the MySQL database and do select star from employees, we can see that the record with the employee ID 1 it has been deleted. Finally, we'll be implementing the update employee API call. For this, the user he will be making a put call to localhost 8080/employee, and also along with this put call, the user he will be sending the updated employee information as JSON in this call. So when this call it is received by the REST controller, using the information that is sent in the body, the employee DTO object it will be created. Then from the REST controller, we'll be making a call to the update employee method of the service, to which we pass the employee DTO. So this employee DTO, it is the employee details that are to be updated. The service then makes use of the employee repository to update the employee details. Once the employee details have been updated, the updated employee instance is returned back by the employee repository. The service then converts this employee instance to employee DTO instance and returns it back to the REST controller, and this is again returned back to the user by the REST controller. So let us begin with the implementation part. So in the employee service interface, we'll be adding a method named update employee, which takes the employee DTO as a parameter. So copy this, go to Eclipse, I'll stop this, go to employee service and add this method here. Next, in the employee service implementation class, which implements the employee service interface, we implement the update employee method, which we have declared in the employee service interface. So for this update employee method, we have the employee DTO as a parameter. So this is the employee information which is to be updated. Before updating the employee information, we check if this particular employee DTO object it exists in the MySQL database. So for this, we make use of the find by ID method of the employee repository. To this, we pass the employee DTO.getID. If an employee object corresponding to this ID exists, then we update that employee. Else, if it does not exist, we throw the employee not found exception. So corresponding to the employee DTO.ID, if an employee exists, then we update that particular employee with the details that are there in the employee DTO object, and then using the employee repository.save method, we save those employee details in the MySQL database. Once we save this employee, we get a created employee instance. This created employee instance is then converted to employee DTO object and returned back to the controller. So let us add this method to the employee service implementation. Go to Eclipse, employee service implementation, and here we'll be adding this. Finally, we'll be modifying the employee controller class to create a new method named update employee, which will be exposing as a REST endpoint using the put mapping annotation and the URL /employee. So in the body of this put call, we'll be passing the employee details which are to be updated. Next, inside this method, we'll be calling the update employee method of the employee service, to which we pass the employee DTO object. So using the employee service, the MySQL record corresponding to this employee DTO object, it will be updated and it will return as the updated employee information. This updated employee information, it is returned back to the user along with the http status.ok code. So let us modify the employee controller class to add this update employee method. Go to Eclipse, go to the controller class. So we are done with the code changes. Let us start this application in debug mode. Here in the controller, I will be adding the debug point. Also, I will be adding the debug point in the employee service implementation. So if we go to MySQL database and do select staff from employees, so here we have two employee records. We'll be modifying the employee record with ID 2. So here the department will be updating it from HR to admin for this particular user too. So here go to Postman. So previously we had done get all employees where we had got all the employee information. So just copy this response that we had got from this. So here we'll be creating a new put request. Go to body raw, it is JSON, and just paste this here. The URL will be localhost 8080/employee. So here instead of the department HR, we want it as admin. So click on the send button. Here we have received the request in the controller. Here we have the employee DTO. So here the department is admin. We have the employee ID and the name. So let us now go to the service layer. So here we first check if the employee corresponding to this employee DTO.id, which in our case it will be 2, whether it exists or not. So in our case it does exist, so this empty it will be false. So then we get the employee which has been retrieved corresponding to the ID 2. This employee we update it with the employee DTO information. So here we are setting the department as admin. Next we save this employee information, and the created employee we convert it to employee DTO object and return it back to the controller, which returns it back to the user. So here we get the updated employee information back. If you now go to MySQL database and do select staff from employees, here we can see that the department it has been updated as admin. Hope you have understood this tutorial. You can download the source code from here. Thank you.